Church of the Adventists of Kigali. Yeah, we have been sharing emails. I'm Dr. Emmanuel Hakizimana. We have been exchanging email, we have been interacting, and it was very nice. I'm the Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of academics and research. So on behalf of our Vice Chancellor, who have not managed to be here because of other responsibilities, and on behalf of our senior management, we are really very happy to welcome you as we are going to have a very good cooperation, exchange of ideas, and conversation of how we can go through our global development. So we have seen the projects are very nice. So we are here just to say you are most welcome and feel at home. I'm with my colleagues who are here just to welcome you. He's a Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of finance and administration. The name, I think the simple one is Richard. He's Richard. I'm also with Professor Anthony. He's in charge of partnership, and he's also the mentor of our academic staff in the Faculty of Economic Sciences and Management. We are with Dr. Christophe. You met him. He's the Dean of Faculty of Environmental Studies. And I think that faculty is the one that is having a curriculum and program and activities that are related to the project we have seen, Living Lab, because he has, under his faculty, he has the Department of Rural Development. He has the issue of environmental studies and conservation. He has the issue of international development studies in his faculty. That's why he'll be closer to you during your stay and during our communication. We are with Dr. Christine. She's the Dean of Faculty of Economic Sciences and Management. Is the huge faculty we have with many departments focuses on business studies. So accounting, finance, human resource management, project management, such kind of business-related programs. So we are with Dr. Martin. He's one of the very active academic staff in the Faculty of Environmental Studies. And with Mrs. Nina, she's our PRO, Public Relations Officer. And we are with Mr. Gilbert. He's the registrar. He's the registrar. And Mr. John Claude is the director of ICT. And we are with Felicien. He's in charge of quality assurance. We are with Mrs. Anita. She's the head of department in business faculties, but he deals with finance, accounting, and also together with Mr. Eli. He's also in charge of departments, Department of Economics, Cooperative Management. We have also Cooperative Management. And I think those are we are with Obed. We are with Obed. He's our IT expert in charge of live streaming, and multimedia issues. Let me just take even this opportunity to inform you that even this meeting you are having is passing live streaming on YouTube channel of our university. So he's taking it. So that is the team which represent the senior management. We are not all here, some of them, they are handling classes, handling some office, but 80% of senior management is here just to welcome you. Without delaying, maybe I will give you time also. Let us just give you a brief presentation of who we are as Unilak. Unilak is a university which has founded by Seventh-day Adventist parents. The movement has started in 1980, where parents put their hands together and initiate the secondary schools. Due to the historical background of the country and due to the access to education at that time, so the parents realized that it's necessary that it's necessary that they put hands together so that they can initiate private schools which can support the government and public schools, which were not enough. So from that time, the movement has started. Then when we had the challenge of 1994 genocide, already the country was having around 12 secondary schools initiated by Seventh-day Adventist parents. After 1994 genocide, that's where the parents have said now, on the top, we need a university which can now accommodate those young people who are completing their secondary school. It is in that perspective that the ideas and putting ideas have just started. And in 1997, that is where the University of Adventists of Kigali has started. And it got its accreditation in 2009, because previously they have started to starting all the projects, it's a journey, but the fully accreditation was got in 2009, but before we were having a provisional accreditation. I don't know whether the process is the same in your country, but that is how it used to be. Then from that time, the university grew up. We have started with two faculties. We started with the Faculty of Economic Sciences in that time, which was really basing on the management and business, but also we started with the Faculty of Law. But the university continued to grow. In 2012, that's where we got other two faculties, the Faculty of Environmental Studies and the Faculty of Computer Science. Then we have had now four faculties, and at that time we managed also to grow and get now a master's degree. We in the beginning we offered bachelor degree, but at that time from 2013 we started to offer a bachelor and masters for all faculties. In economic sciences we offer bachelor and masters of business and administration. The same in environment, we have also masters at different departments. So the university has managed to grow. After that, we have expanded and realized that the country really needed the service of University of Adventists. That's why we have started to open the campuses in different corners of the country. So in 2012, we have opened the Nyanza campus in Southern Province. It is at 90 kilometers from Kigali. So we have a very big campus. Maybe we shall get time to visit. on the program we have seen that I have arranged so that at least you can travel and see the country and visit the campus in Nyanza. We also open another campus in Eastern Province, which is Rwamagana. It is also close. It is like at 50 kilometers from Kigali. So now we have 3 campuses. The main and the headquarters is here in Kigali. And for the size of the university in terms of number of students, we have around 5,000 students, bachelor degree students and master's degree students. In terms of staff, the total number of staff is around 200, but a big number is academic staff. They are around 80. We are still having a shortage of more senior professors, but we are trying. We have PhDs, we have lecturers, we have also some very few associate professors, but due to the historical background of the country and of the Africa in general, it's not easy to get those more professors and experienced one. But we have managed to get around 80 academic staff. And we are still keeping on growing. We get through the partnership, our academic staff, they got the scholarship. Even now we have around 30 who are undertaking their masters and PhD through a partnership we have had with the other university. So we are moving forward. And at this time, the university is receiving more international students. Now, I don't know, maybe from the current registration, but recently we're having around students from 20 countries, but the majority of them, they are from Africa. And even academic staff, we are having international, they come from different countries. So the university is trying to open the doors and to be connected with the outside world. I think that's the picture of our university. So we are very happy that we got an opportunity of interacting and meeting, which I think that it will be also an added value to both institutions for collaboration, for sharing experiences, and for serving our countries, serving our continents, and serving the global world. The world is really need the economy which is knowledge based, which is knowledge and skills based, and which need people to work together. So we have been really happy when we received your network and your connection and starting to interact. And we thank God that now it has happened that we have met. So we welcome you. That is Unilak. So feel at home as we exchange ideas and as we move forward the cooperations that we can work together. So thank you very much. Yeah. So you are welcome. You are already at home, so feel free to share with us. The team you have been together with, we have not managed to mention the names because even accent, but we really appreciate and we are happy that you have become already the family members of our university. So feel free to share with us, to present to us the team and even the presentation you have prepared for us. Thank you very much.
Before I do my presentation, just let me briefly introduce my colleagues and my university and my institute. I'm Shin, S-H-I-N. I'm from Korea and I'm from Yonsei University. Very nice to meet you, and thank you very much for this wonderful chance to present my idea in Unilak, University of Lay Adventist in Kigali. Um, our first impression in your country, in your city, in your campus, amazing, wonderful, very, very, very impressive. So, and also very pleased to become, I think, probably the first South Korean people to visit your campus. I think it's really an honor for us. Let me introduce first my colleagues, Professor Nam. She's a research professor in our Institute of Poverty Alleviation and International Development, which is our research center in Yonsei University. Her major is international development cooperation. And also public administration and political scientists too. And also we have our staff, Ms. Jung-in Lee. She is a staff of our IPAID, our research institute. So we are representing our research institute in Yonsei University. And I also give very small, very short chance to present, to introduce themselves, Professor Chu Young-gyu. Professor Chu is in charge of the ODA project in Kigali, in this country, for a while. He's engaged in 2 different projects, ODA projects between Korea and Rwanda. So could you please introduce?
Okay, thank you very much for your introduction. And it's my first time to be here. Actually, second time. First time in Unilak here. So I know the kind of your student, Mr. Felix, and he'll talk about your university so much times. So I'm very interested to be here and meet our excellent faculty here. Thank you very much. I'm working as project leader of the Koika project. It means rural development, especially for agriculture, crop, horticulture, cash crop, export to other country. I'm working for 4 years right here. It's my first year, so I want to meet you frequently.
Thanks for giving me a chance. Oh, thank you. My name is Jung-un Hyun. You can call me just Hyun. And I'm a project section officer of this project as well. And also I'm working with Dr. Ju, Professor Ju. And also I'm really glad to hear with all of you guys. Thank you so much.
And also, my university is Yonsei University, and we have, just like you, 3 different campuses. We are one of the we are from the second campus, which is in a city called Wonju. Our campus name is Mirai Campus. In our campus, the size is just like very similar, 6,000, I guess. We have BA program, master's program, and doctoral program too. And the Institute of Poverty Alleviation and International Development is the most biggest representing research institute in our university and in our campus too. So I'm the director of that research institute, which is called IPAID, and which is about international development cooperation. So in that research institute, we are engaged in a research project called educational cooperation between our university and our partner university. Partner university means the partner countries or partner locations where our ODA projects are going on. So we chose your university because we were connected via ODA project managers and project specialists, just like Professor Chu, to your university. So we are very happy to be connected with you, and very nice to have a chance to present our cooperation idea. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Now we have managed now to know each other, and the next we can go now to the presentation that you have already prepared. They are putting it on the screen, so that now we can follow the presentation. You can even come and sit. I don't know whether it's not very far. You can use this chair to be able to see whether the slides are. So they are going to connect. It's not yet connected to the screen. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. As they are bringing. Oh. So the hotel, the services were fine?
Very good.
Oh,
Everything is fine.
everything is fine.
And thank you for your providing our rides with us.
No problem. So in Rwanda culture, a visitor is I don't know how we call it. A visitor has a very high consideration. So in the culture, so there is that value of honoring so much. It is our culture, it is our life. Maybe Professor knows because he has experience. He's here for some time, here long time. But a visitor in Rwanda is somebody who is highly respected. Yeah, that is a country culture. Yeah.
프로젝트 하나 설치해줘야 될 것 같아요. Like I said before, I'm the director of the IPAID in Yonsei University. IPAID is the Institute for Poverty Alleviation and International Development. My presentation has two parts. Part one is I'm going to explain what the Living Lab is first, and then part two is the suggestion for cooperation with Unilak, specific ideas for cooperation. But before that, in part one, you have to first understand what is Living Lab is, because we're going to suggest to you cooperation based on Living Lab cooperation. So I'm going to start the part one. The Living Lab is one of the ways of problem solving and innovation. Probably and usually local residents raise their problems all by themselves and cooperate with each other to address the problems. But they are not alone to solve the problems. They are usually supported by the local universities, research institutes, the local government, local firms, and advocacy groups, and other specialists. So they all work together to solve the problem, where the problem is in their local residents. Sometimes technology is involved to address these problems and to find some solutions, but it's not necessary. It's not a requirement. Sometimes sensors, information and communication technologies, robots, those are used, but they are not required. Sometimes without these innovations, we have only some ideas innovative ideas, those play a very decisive role. How is Living Lab is different from other types of problem solving and innovation? I would say there are three types of key actors who solve the problem. Number one is the government. Government solve the problem, but their problem solving is planning. It's not experimenting. They just make a plan and to solve the problem, and then that plan becomes a policy. So it's just like a very typical top-down style problem solving initiated and implemented by the government. Living Lab is very different. Living Lab is based on experiment. Experiment means just general people, just like you and me, or general local residents, they create some ideas and they implement those ideas by making some experiments. If the experiment is successful, and then they initiate that into a specific policy. So before, policy is very much strict and it's like rigid, but Living Lab is very much flexible because that Living Lab is based on the experiment. The experiment is not successful, they initiate some other experiments. They try some other ideas. So it's very much flexible. The government-driven innovation, citizens, they ask the government to solve the problems. That's petition. But they don't play a decisive role here because they are just shy complainers. Citizens just ask governments, hey, we have this problem in here, so you have to do this. They try to ask the government to solve the problem. So those are very different from the Living Lab-based problem solving, because in the Living Lab-based problem solving, people, they initiate and they implement all by themselves the problem solving activities. Sometimes advocacy groups, they are the initiators of the problem solvings. They research and investigate a specific problem, and then they argue and advocate for certain change. But in this case too, they are not the center of the problem-solving processes. They do not involve themselves, but they just argue, and then they make some pressure to the government to change something. Sometimes firms, they initiate and implement some problem-solving processes too. But usually what they are doing is the provider-driven innovation, but not user-driven innovation. Provider-driven innovation means the firms, for example, if they are providing some technologies just like your cell phones or computers, they are the providers. They upgrade their cell phones and then computers, and the users, they do not want to buy something new, but the provider keep innovating their versions, just like version 22, version 23. So the customers have to buy that. So that's a very typical example of provider-driven innovation. In the provider-driven innovation, the firms, they earn money, but consumers, they have to buy a new thing. They have no problem in using their own computers, but the provider says, hey, your computer is outgraded, so you have to buy a new thing. So we waste money and we produce a lot of electronic waste. So that's the typical example of provider-driven innovation. Living Lab is the user-driven innovation. User-driven innovation means the users are those who will use the technologies, those who will benefit the innovations, just like the local residents. And the keywords of the Living Lab is, I'm going to give you some 5 keywords. Number 1 is co-creation. Just like I said, Living Lab is based on the cooperation between local residents who raise problems and come up with solutions together with others. And the local universities and research institutes, they play a role as a specialist, provide some specific knowledge or technology and information, because university professors, they are the specialists. So if local residents find some problems in their neighborhood, then they can make some advice because they are specialists. And then firms and the government and advocacy groups and NGOs, all other different types of participants, they can cooperate each other in this Living Lab project and then solve the problem all by themselves. So that's the Living Lab. The second keyword is politics of experiment. Like I said before, Living Lab is based on experiment. Experiment is they make some design for problem solving and then design the experiment. If the experiment is not successful, they try to come up with other solutions. So it's like a bottom-up organization for problem-solving activities. Number 3 is a user-driven innovation. I just mentioned this before. User means the local residents. Residents, those people who will benefit from the innovation. So they identify the problem all by themselves, and they come up with solutions all by themselves, the users. Citizen science means residents investigate designated problems, and then they create data for all by themselves. If they create data about the specific problems, they don't have to rely on the government about the data. Because they have their own numbers of how, for example, how serious is this problem in here. They just investigate it all by themselves. They have their own data, and that data is very important. The important thing to come up with those solutions. Usually the government dominates the data, but in this case, the civil society and citizens, they create their own data. And the value creation means in these problem-solving processes, somebody can earn money. For example, in the problem-solving experimentation and producing prototypes, if they have some patent acquisition or if they open a new business, for example, entrepreneurship, then it's a new business opportunity is created by this Living Lab activities. So it's not just about problem solving, but if you are lucky, you can create your own business or for this innovative idea or innovative technologies. So new business opportunity is another benefit of the Living Lab. So those are the keywords of the Living Lab. Now I'm going to introduce you about some brief picture of the European cities, what they are doing. Living Lab, the origin of the Living Lab is one of the universities in the United States. Living Lab means just laboratory, but laboratory is living. And one of the professors in MIT, he wanted to test his idea about the new technology innovation, but he just experimented his technologies innovations in an apartment where his students were located in. So he experimented his idea into a real environment. So which is called why we are called Living Lab. But Living Lab is now widespread in European cities. Residents raise questions in the open platform. Open platform means the homepage of the Living Lab institutes. I'm going to show you some of the very typical open platforms where European citizens are meeting together to exchange their ideas about their problems. If one resident raises question in the open platform in the homepage, they write their discussion. And then other residents respond and discuss. And then they try to discuss in the online to come up with solutions. And in that stage, professors and specialists steps in. So I'm a professor who is majoring in, for example, agricultural science. You are discussing some agricultural problem here, but as a specialist, I can help you out. I can give you some solutions. So in that way, local residents and professors and some specialists can meet online to address some specific problems. So residents and specialists cooperate for a possible project, and the government supports the project. And if they think it's really a good new business opportunity, they invest some money to this project. So in this way, the Living Lab project is initiated and implemented in European cities. And like I said before, open platform, it plays a critical role because people can meet each other and discuss their ideas and exchange their ideas in the homepage. So if there's no homepage, no chance to talk each other about the problem. Hey, I live here and I have a very bad smell in my neighborhood. I think this is really a problem. And then others will respond, hey, I have a problem. I live 10 kilometers away from you, but I have the same problem. So, and then in the past, we just asked the government to solve this problem. But in the Living Lab, we don't do that anymore. We just discuss our ideas, we find problems, we investigate how serious is that problem, and we get some help from the specialist where if there's a university in our local neighborhood, then university professors will help us. So the homepage has a lot of previous cases of Living Lab experiments, successful and failure. And then what I've been looking at is the case of Amsterdam, which is the best in my knowledge. So these are the three representative platforms that citizens of Amsterdam, they are communicating each other. Number one is amsterdamcity.com. Number two is Amsterdam Institute of Advanced Metropolitan Solutions. And number three is the mall. So these are three different home pages, but they are all interconnected. And if you go there, and then we can see a lot of comments from in general citizens of Amsterdam. They are just suggesting their own ideas. Hey, our neighborhood has this kind of problem. If it's environmental problem, if it's transportation problem, if it's education, if it's elderly people, then they communicate with each other to solve these problems. And then just they create a project, and somebody gets the money, and then they initiate their project to solve the project. And then the government is watching that, and if there is a room for them to step in, the government steps in too. So it's a kind of citizen-driven problem-solving activities. Wheelchair, electronic wheelchair, which was created in late 1980s by one of the companies making wheelchairs in Denmark in 1987 or 8. The chairman of that company, he went to the high school where the disabled high school students were educated. And then what the chairman was watching was the high school students were using, they are playing games, electronic games, using the joysticks at that time. It's a long time ago. So the chairman came up with the idea that if we put that joystick into the wheelchair, then it could be a lot easier for the disabled persons to drive the wheelchairs. So that's a kind of idea generation. If by the wheelchair company chairperson. If the chairperson did not visit the high school, then he did not get the idea. That's a very typical example of user-driven innovation. The users are those high school students, disabled students, who will use those wheelchairs. So the wheelchair with joystick was created by that kind of user-driven innovation idea. Rain beer, which is created 5 or 6 years ago in Amsterdam, one of the pub restaurants in Amsterdam city. That man was the owner of the restaurant. As you know, Amsterdam is a low-level city, suffers a lot from heavy rain and drainage problem because rain is too much and the sea level is higher than the earth level. So they have really a big problem of too much rain. And then the pub owner once thought that if I can make those rain into a beer, I can get a lot of money. And then he put that idea onto one of the home pages that I showed you. And then one of the local professors stepped in. And I'm a chemist. And if you want to make those rain into a beer, you have to do something this and something like that. And then he created the rain beer, actually. So if you go there in the restaurant, you can buy the rain beer. This is not a problem-solving example, but the idea generation is very much important. This is the one of the stadiums in outer Amsterdam, and the stadium was too old, so they have to demolish the stadium. But the problem is they have those more than 20,000 leftovers of the chairs. So those are the big trashes. They have to do something about those trashes. So they opened the idea. And then thousands of different innovative ideas came in to reuse those 20,000 chairs into different solutions. So that means if you combine your ideas together, if you do that in your classroom, then students respond very differently. Hey, I have a personal experience in some regions. If I can get those 20,000 chairs, I can use those chairs into this situation, something like this. So students would respond differently because they have different ideas about how to reuse those chairs. This is one of the courses in the Rotterdam University in the construction department, which is the project title is Constructing the Concept House Village Lab. The course is open in the construction department, and the course objective is to build a house, students all by themselves on campus, and live there. So those activities are the classes. So in the class goal is to let students build a house on campus and live there. And if the students say, hey, professor, if I design my window from here to there, I move this window from the north side to the south side, then I can save more energy. And then they try to repair, reopen those the campus small tiny houses. So those experience of themselves, that's the education of the college education. So that's another example too. In the European cities, like I said, very active in Living Lab projects. So they gather together once a year, which is called Open Living Lab Days, and they organize a very big network called European Network of Living Labs, and then they just present their own different experiences. On September 22, I guess, in this year, they have another Open Living Lab Days, and Professor Nam will go there and present our ideas, our experience, our former experiences about the educational Living Lab exchanges, which we will do hopefully with your university too. In the pandemic situation, a lot of cities suffered from very low business and economic downturn problems, so they have to come up with some solutions. In European cities, Living Lab played a great role to solve those problems in the pandemic period too. This is another example of Living Lab projects called Cinderella Project. They are actually the project. The problem they saw was the trees in the park and in the middle of the city. The trees are dying for whatever reason, malnutrition or something like that. So they have to save the trees. They have to put some energy, something into the trees. And then what they are constructing is actually the toilet, public restroom in the middle of the park. And then if people are using those toilets, those urines are filtered, and then they turn into a nutrition, and then the nutrition is provided to the trees, and then they can save the trees. So that's kind of innovative kind of system solution. But that solution came out of the very simple ideas of general people. If you go to the homepage, they open a project, open an introductory section for the Cinderella project. In 2020, this was in preparation, but now is in progress. They just briefly overview the project. Hey, my idea is, if if you establish a toilet here, and then urines will be here, urines turned into nutrition, and the nutrition goes to the trees, and we can save the trees. So if my idea is not really good, or if my idea is not scientific, make some comments. And then scientists and professors, they step in. Hey, your idea works. That makes sense. Then we can go ahead. And if somebody provides money, then the project is on progress. So now it's on progress. But in the middle of the progress, some others will have some different ideas. Hey, I think this is really another good idea. If you make this change into something like this, then it could be better. Then they change the direction of the whole project, because this is an open co-creation project between anybody can participate in this project. Anybody can just suggest their own ideas. If they are just general common people or specialists, doesn't matter. So very flexible. It's nothing is predetermined. So this is the one of the benefits of the Living Lab. So they just introduce the methods. Cinderella is an innovative project. Something like they collect the urine, which is stabilized and purified in a bioreactor, and then distilled and concentrated into organic nutrient-rich fertilizer. And the fertilizer is distributed to the trees. The general framework. You have your own idea. Get in touch. Click on it. You provide your idea. If the idea makes sense, we'll accept your idea. So any of us can create that kind of project. If it's open project in here in Kigali, and your students will do that. Our students are doing that very much. They are not specialists. They are just lay person, but ideas from different persons with different experiences. If the idea is connected, then they change the problem. They make some innovation. 3 different stages of Living Lab, which is pre-experiment and post-experiment. And like I said, experiment is the core process of the Living Lab. But before that, we have to prepare the experiment. What is the preparation? Number 1, we have to find problems in our local residents, our local neighborhood. For example, if I live in here Kigali, if we have some problems like education or transportation, environment, labor, or some gender problems, something like this, we raise some of us raise problems. And then we have to find the reasons of those problems, the causes of the problems, which is called diagnosis. And then the next step is we have to make some idea generation for solutions. Different persons come together and share their ideas, very bright ideas, innovative ideas to address those problems. And then number 2 is design experiment, and then implement the experiment. What we are usually do in our classroom is, up to that point, design experiment. Students design their experiment to implement their ideas. And after the class is over, and then they have real chance to apply for the Living Lab competition, which is organized by the government in our country's case. But in your case, if your students experience Living Lab design and idea generation in your course, and the course is over, and then if they want to continue their project, we'll try our best to find some funding opportunities to implement those problems. If they implement the experiment, they create prototype, and the prototype is applied to the real problem. If that is successful, then that makes a solution. And then that solution becomes a policy, institutionalized, or that solution is one of the sources for a new business entrepreneurship. Then that person earns the money. If it's a student come up with an idea, that idea, based on that idea, students acquire patent, and then they earn money. And then those ideas are diffused into other areas and other types of policies, problems. So those are the 3 different steps of the Living Lab. This is one of the very classical examples many years ago, 10 years ago in Korea. We call it rainbow plate. This rainbow plate was created by middle school students, 14-year middle school, 3 middle school students. The problem they find was in the school cafeteria, they are provided with some foods, and that there are food leftovers. Too much leftovers of the foods. Food leftovers means trashes. That makes the environment mess because the food leftovers are too many. And then they find the causes of the problem is when the steps provide foods to the students, and the students ask, "Hey, I want this amount of food. I want this amount of rice," and then this amount means it's not really correct. So they put some line on their plate. Hey, I want my rice, for example, like line A, or I want more, line B or line C. And then they just define the exact amount of the food they want by making those lines into their plate. And then they made those experiments, just put up some lines on the plate. And then they found that amazingly they could reduce their food leftovers just making those lines on their plates. Today in Korea, more than 40 government institutes are using that rainbow plate. And those students who created that idea, rainbow plate, they are earning money because they had some patents. They have their intellectual property rights of that idea. So it's not about technology. It's about the idea generation. Problem in that case, this is a sewage in the downtown, and then people put cigarette butts into that trashes, and then the sewage is stuck because of the cigarette butts. And traditionally, if it's the government solution, government puts some fines into those people who put the cigarette butts into that sewage. But what they did is they put some pictures on it, and then they put some messages on it. On the left-hand side, the message in Korean means the beginning of the sea. This is the beginning of the sea, so don't just mess up. Don't put anything trashes in here because this will be the beginning of the whole Pacific Ocean. So in that very simple message, they could reduce the cigarette butts and the trashes in that sewage. So that's another example of innovation by idea generation. That's llw.yonsei.ac.kr is the homepage of our Living Lab Research Center in our iPad. And students, they create their ideas and they come up with solutions, and all our activities are recorded in that homepage. We established the Living Lab Research Center in 2020, and which now belongs to our research center, which is iPad. So this is the part one of my presentation, which is about the meaning of the Living Lab. So part two is now the specific idea of cooperation between Yonsei and your university. This is the homepage of IPAID, Institute for Poverty Alleviation and International Development. We are doing broadly two things. Number one is ODA project, Official Development Assistance, provided by the KOICA. KOICA is the Korean government's development cooperation agency. If we are selected by the project manager, project implementator, we are provided the government money, and with the government money, we are implementing our projects in many different countries. So that's one part of our research institute. Those projects are now implemented by Professor Ju and these people. Number two, the other part of our research our research institute is the research project, just like this. The cooperation, educational cooperation with other universities. So this is it, the letter. Approaching global problems with different local conditions, which we call local way of problem solving. global problems like climate change or pandemic or some other things, they are actually implemented in the local areas, which is called the local way of problem solving. So the basic idea is we do our Living Lab project in Yonsei University in our campus, and you guys do your Living Lab project in your university, and we share the process and outcomes. We compare and contrast the projects, how we can see how your students find what kind of problems or how your students come up with solutions, and your students will understand how students in South Korea, students in Yonsei University, what kind of problems they designated, what kind of solutions they come up with. So if those solutions are different, they just research, they just investigate what makes these different outcomes or different process. So that is the part of the educational kind of pedagogy. So in understanding and coping with global problems by educational cooperation. What we are doing, we have been doing in our official development assistant cooperation projects was just like these many different countries. And in your country, we are doing our 2 projects. In both projects, Professor Ju is involved. He was the organizer. Like I said, Sustainable Agricultural Productivity and Market Linkage Project, which is the new, this is the old one, and the new one is now being initiated. So these are 2 projects. Our idea is we make educational cooperate with universities which are located in our ODA project sites. So in that case, we first chose Vietnam. And in Vietnam, there's a place called Duan Quang Province. We searched a university in Duan Quang Province. We were successfully connected to one of the local universities. We initiated cooperation between our Yonsei University and that university in last semester, which was very successful. And then our other ODA project sites are just like Rwanda. So we try to search our partner university, and we were lucky to be connected with Unilak with this. Why we are doing this? Understanding the global way of problem solving. Like I said before, global problems, they are discussed, they are attempted to be cooperate in global international regimes or international conventions, cooperations. Those are not successful. The only way to solve the problem is everybody in their own local environment, they do something to change, to cope with the problems. So the only way to address the global problem is the local way of problem solving. Global problems are addressed in the local areas. Number 2 is experiencing interactive understanding of partner countries with comparative perspective. Like I said before, if students have same problems, hey, we have too much plastic waste, we have to reduce the plastic waste. So the same problem, but if students in both sides, if they come up with some different solutions, then students will ask why, in what conditions, what makes these different outcomes of different ideas. So that's the education. That kind of investigation, that kind of research itself is the education. And developing common curriculum and offer common course. If we develop this cooperation, later on we can cooperate more. Your university and our university will design, organize the same course. Same course will be taught in cooperatively. We can exchange professors. We can cooperate more on more serious steps. And then developing exchange student program on overseas students' opportunities. We can go further and further. We can accept some of your students as an exchange students in the future if we are very successful in this Living Lab project. So, as far as I understand, we don't really have the whole Yonsei, the whole 3 campuses do not have any connection with your university, for example. It's for sure, and any university in your country, I guess. So it could be the first one to be connected. So I think it's really a hopeful situation in the future. The same global problem, but different local solutions. like I said, if the both sides in the problems, students designated as the same problem, but they can come up with some different solutions. But on the other hand, they are doing some different problems, but they can cooperate each other to make some cooperative solutions. So that's another model. So I'm going to give you some examples about this. In last semester, spring semester of 2023, we make some partnership with Tan Chao University, which is in Vietnam, and University of Gajah Mada, which is UGM in Indonesia, and one of the universities in the United States too. So we did cooperation with these three universities. In our case, the course was International Development Cooperation course title, which is taught by me. In our partner country's case, for example, in Vietnam, the course title was International Economics and Social Welfare and Ethnic Minorities. In the Indonesia's case, the course title was Global Public Policy. And in the case of the United States, the course title was Problems in International Environmental Politics. The professor in the United States, she was the specialist in environmental politics, and I'm a specialist in environmental politics too. So my course in the second semester is environmental politics. But in the first semester is international development cooperation. In international development cooperation, we deal with not only environment but also any types of development cooperation areas of concern, which is including agriculture, education, gender, health, many different things, transportation. We cover all these different variety of areas for development cooperation between Korea and other countries. So if you want to do this, there are a couple of stages. Number one, designate a class and set up a schedule. Each side designate an existing course. You don't have to open a new course for this project. If you teach something already, you are teaching some courses, and you think one of the courses is good for this cooperation, then you can designate that course. Hey, in our side, I'm gonna put this course with your cooperation. Then that's it. You don't have to open a new course. In my case, in the fall semester, my course will be Global Environmental Politics. But in the next semester, which is the spring semester in 2024, my course will be Development Cooperation. So you can designate any course in next semester, or if it's too early, then you can go ahead in the spring semester of 2024. If you're willing to cooperate, you can designate any of your courses, and then in the designated class, you put Living Lab project schedule. Could be like in the preparation and presentation, could be like 1 month or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and then set up your syllabus, including that Living Lab project. We'll do the same thing. In our syllabus, we'll put Living Lab projects. We are doing this separately. But we will exchange our information, how things are going on in each side with professors. We'll meet at online Zoom and exchange our ideas and processes of information very frequently. But basically, we are separately doing each other. For this project, professor will assign 2 or 3 weeks for preparation and 1 week for presentation. The preparation and presentation are usually scheduled in between the midterm and final examinations. And students they can meet the outside of the classroom to prepare these Living Lab projects. I'm going to give you, if you are willing to do this, we're going to give you some information about how to organize this Living Lab course. We have been developing our teaching portfolio for this Living Lab course. We are giving you sample course syllabus. We're giving you 15-minute documentary video introducing the Living Lab project. Something like those class materials will be provided. Or I can give you some kind of a special lecture on with your students too. So in that way, we can help you operate your own, organize your own Living Lab course. But like I said before, could not be a new course. Living Lab project could be included in any of your existing courses. And Living Lab project is very typical problem-solving learning in college education. So if you're already doing problem-solving or community-based learning in your course, much better. You can understand that very well. Stage 2 is implementing Living Lab activities. Living Lab activities in the course are to find problems in your local areas. Students have to find problems all by themselves. Professors should help them. And to research how serious the problem is, students have to find the data all by themselves. And then if there's no data in online, how serious is the environmental problem in our neighborhood is, and they have to investigate all by themselves. How many trashes are coming every day in our downtown? They have to do some simple sample research all by themselves. And to find possible cause of the problem, and then come up with the solutions. So those are the activities. And then the actual experiment will not be conducted in the class. But after class, you'll have to find some funding sources for actual implementation. And we will help you out to find some funding sources if your students are interested in implementing really the project, their own ideas. And then we will provide you some kind of opportunities to help them out. Instructor can encourage students to have team meetings for preparation outside the classroom. And then during the semester, we will visit you, or we'll visit you online or offline and share the process, or we can meet at Zoom to check each other. Or we'll provide you any kind of assistance to manage your course, the Living Lab projects, to teach your students, to assist your students. We'll provide those information. Stage 3, sharing the results. After the presentation, students make a short video clip that introduce their activities. It's the video clip is their proposal for Living Lab experiment. They upload that video clip into the YouTube channel and share each other. Our students will do the same thing. If you can just take a picture, you tape it, what students are presenting. You can send us, then we'll show our students to that video clips. So, or you can upload that in the YouTube channel or wherever. You can just tape it. You can just videotape it, and then just let us know. And then we will share what your students are doing. And we will see what our students are doing. So in that way, we cooperate each other. And then our students will make some comments to your projects, and your students will make some comments in our project. In this way, we learn each other. If our students will make some comments in your students' projects, they have to learn something about for example, Rwanda, the country itself, and then some local situations over here. So in that way, they will start to learn other countries, partner countries. So a new way of understanding different countries. When the project is over, in every summer, we'll organize a conference in every August, and participating professors will be invited to come to our city and share the process and results of the Living Lab projects. And this is not for 100% sure, because we have to apply for independent funding source for this conference. But in this year, we were very lucky to have this conference. Next year, if we're not provided with this funding source, invitation is not really 100% sure, but we'll try our best to invite you and then share our processes. But it's not really 100% sure, but in this year, we will do this in August. And then we'll seek for possible research cooperation. We'll write a paper based on this educational cooperation. If you're, for example, Professor Christoph is studying environment, and then based on this educational cooperation activities, he can write a research paper about this. You can co-author with me about this research paper. We can publish that paper into a referred journal in academics. So we can do this research cooperation too. Fall semester at Yonsei will start on September 1st. It will be over in the second week of December. I think schedule is a little bit different, but the possible course at Yonsei for fall semester is Global Environmental Politics. But like I said before, if it's too early, we can cooperate in first semester of 2024. And the first semester schedule, unfortunately, a little bit different. I heard from Professor Christoph yesterday that your spring semester begins in January, I guess. So it will be ended in early May. In our case, it starts on March 1st, but a little bit different, but it's not a problem actually. But I think your system is very much similar to the United States system, but I think it's possible. So some of the examples of the cooperation with our partner university students. This is the example of Indonesian students. They find some solutions for their designated problems. In this group, what they found the problem was due to the COVID-19, the local shop owners have suffered from slow business. So students come up with the idea of online marketing network targeting Korean consumers and then help them to sell traditional handcraft such as batik bags. And then students will make a new business for the online business. And then local shop owners, they have no idea, no information, no access to the information. They don't have any idea to how to organize, how to open a new course in online. The students have that technologies. So students will help local people to open an online shop targeting Korean consumers. And then they can help slow business of the local shop owners so that they will they suggest that kind of problem solving. Another one is beach trashes, plastics in Indonesia. Students went to local areas. They collected and measured the exact amount of beach trashes, and they try to find ways to reduce the waste for tourists. They cooperate with local residents and local government to find ways to reduce those problems, reduce the waste. This is the example of Korean students. We do have a lot of exchange students from different countries, and one of them is Islamic countries. For Islamic countries, they have their food priority, food restrictions. For example, they do not eat pork, but they have no idea in Korean dishes if pork is included in these dishes or not. So students' idea is put some mark on each dish. This dish includes some porks, something like this. That will help the Islamic exchange students to find some good dishes for them. So this is a very simple idea, but they can solve the problem of the Islamic exchange students to find good dishes for them. Blind people, how do they know the color of the clothing because they are blind? If they want to go to shop and hey, I want red color, and then they buy the red color clothes, and then they put that in the closet, and then they do not have idea to find the exact red color clothes. So they put rubber label or waterproof badge or NFC or QR code in the clothings to differentiate the color information to support the blind people. So early marriage problem in Vietnam. So this is the example of Vietnam students. Investigate the problem. Why this problem happens? Early marriage, like 13-year-old female students, they were pushed by parents to get married, and then they will lose their job opportunities in the future, their opportunities for education. Only female students are suffering from this kind of bad traditional experiences. So they find some causes and they find some solutions, providing job opportunities for young female and also sex education opportunities too. So that's what they come up with, those students. Waste recycling systems in Vietnam. Those are the examples of what students came up with the ideas. So this is the last slide of my presentation today. So living lab-based problem-solving learning, we would like to inform you, and we would like to cooperate with you about this new type of problem-solving educational practices. This is even new in Korea too. In Korea, a lot of people know Living Lab, but they do not apply that into a university education. We are one of the first, and then we are applying this to, we are actually disseminating this idea into many different countries, just like in Vietnam and Indonesia. And cooperation between Yonsei and partner universities worldwide to solve the global problems in each local areas, which is the local way of problem solving. And this kind of educational cooperation will enhance the existing ODA cooperation. In this case, even after the ODA project is over, we will continue to cooperate with those universities located in the ODA project sites. So this kind of synergic effect between educational cooperation and existing ODA cooperation. So that's what we expect. So Yonsei course, this is the next semester's course, but if it's not possible, you can go ahead in the first semester of 2024. That's International Development Cooperation. But this one is the next one, Global Environmental Politics. Taught by me. In the political science and international relations major students will sign up the course. We'll focus circular economy and 4R, which is reduce, reuse, recycle, and recover. So this is a course of environmental politics, so we will just limit the environmental problems. But in first semester of 2024, it's not limited to environment. We will accept students' idea of any kind of problems is happening in local areas. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation. It's too long. Sorry about this. Thank you. If you have any question or comments, well, more than welcome. In our previous experiences of cooperation with Vietnamese universities, my first presentation, you usually don't have any idea about this, but we send you some, like I said, video clips and some teaching assistant materials, and we come again and to talk each other more and more about this Living Lab project. We show some examples, and in that way you can understand more and more clearly about the Living Lab project. So do not hurry. So we'll come back again.
Thank you very much, Professor, for having this willing to share with us this philosophical foundation that can be really supportive to the global, because the issue of sustainable development, it is a very sensitive one, and it is leaving no one behind. And this sustainable development, it should be individual based, because we can't talk about the development of the country, the development of continent, the development of global, the development of the family, without basing on the individual development. So I really want to thank you for your kindness, because normally a human being, I think it seems to be the common behavior. When he discovers something good, it's rare that he get willing to go and let me go and share. Our institution is based on Christianity values, the core message say, after realizing what Jesus has done, that is our philosophy, go and tell others, so that they can also be able to get an opportunity of growing, of having just a well-being, and so on. So I think you are doing the same. You have presented to us how this approach has borne, and how it has been tested, how it has started to be implemented, and you have been even shared with us the fruits of it, because we have seen the experience, the examples of how this living lab teaching approach and project is really doing miracles in people's lives. So we want to thank you for that. And this maybe was the right time that you come, because our country, we are having a program of 7 years. We are reaching to the end of it. And that program of 7 years, it is called NST1. It is National Transformation Strategies. So it is based on the similar philosophy of knowledge-based economy. That is now the age in which we are. It is a knowledge-based economy. The country is struggling to see how our curriculums, how our programs, how our universities can be at the level of responding to the challenges and the problems of the citizens. So any education which is not learner-centered, citizen-centered, I don't know what kind of education. So that do not used to be our system. Our system used to do not be very pragmatic and experimental, but now we are trying to go through the similar program. So really, your initiative is good, and this time we are sure that our university is blessed to have you in this particular time, and with a very mature philosophy which is already mature, which is already operational. And I hope that as we work together, we will achieve more. And the rest is looking at just the feasibility. I think that is the only things. So as academia, that is our job. Looking at how things are working, you have seen it is operating. It is even the curriculum and the program educationally. It's maybe it's the difference is the way it is done, the way it is conducted, but the logic, it seems to be somehow there, unless people were not knowing how to approach it properly. So the rest is to look at now in terms of how we are going to share this and how we are going to operationalize this one. And you have given some of the ideas, how we can exchange program, how we can exchange staff, how we can, work together. So really, your presentation is meaningful, is understandable, and is responding to the existing problems. So thank you very much. So now it's a time the people we are together with, all of them are the academicians, are lecturers, are researchers, are senior ones. They have understood the approach, which is the Living Lab, which is focusing on the sustainable development of individual, family, community, district, country, and the global world. And we are all of us striving for that. So it's a time just to share the ideas. The floor is open. so that we are still having time. This session is supposed to be closed at 11:30, but no problem. We are still having time up to the lunch time of 12. I think people can share the ideas until you get to the close of this discussion with a fruitful orientation of ideas, which will be based on for signing the MOU tomorrow. Thank you very much. So the floor is open for questions and answers.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor, for the wonderful presentation. When I saw the topic, Living Lab, I know another approach of extension. Maybe doctor who is working in agriculture side knows. It's an approach used in agriculture known as farmer field school. The approach initially was started by the FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization for the UN, and is being implemented in different countries by different international organizations like IFAD and FAO mostly. The approach is based on the philosophy which was based on how research institutions, governments used to have fundings that was really needed to be implemented at farms level. And farmers belonging in a certain group of people, mostly using their local context. And in different countries like Rwanda, where the government is using different staff in charge of extension, and the approach came as another way of reducing the resistance, because most of the time, like in the Rwandan context, farmers used to resist to the new innovations, new approaches from research institution, even if it was trusted by the government and the other organizations. The approach of this farmer field school came as another way of showing the farmers that they are able. It was like facilitating farmers to incorporate what came from the researches, and based on that, the result was positive. Then my concern come back on this living lab, considering your experience and the context in different countries. If it is being implemented as planned, if you know what are challenges based on the local context, as I said, because farmers like Rwanda and the other African countries, most of those farmers are somehow illiterate, somehow not able to implement the new innovations as being brought by researchers and governments, even if the government is part of the system. This kind of resistance is observed in different contexts, based on the background that I was saying. Then I was just, based on your experiences, the context or the challenges behind this implementation, so that even if it's a starting point, we can learn from that and able to see what about the Rwandan context can work or it can. Thank you. This is my concern. I think you understood. Thank you.
This is my first time to visit Rwanda, and we have to learn a lot more about the local situation here. And with this project, the best shortcut for me to learn about your country and your situation. And if there's a problems like that, for example, farmers resist to innovate. They don't really try to accept the new ideas or new innovations. Then that's actually one of the problems that students might be interested in. What kind of cultural aspects or economic aspects or political aspects or something? What kind of factors will make those resistance of the farmers because they're already familiar with these existing systems, or then what causes that kind of problems. So students will go there and make some interviews with those local farmers and causes the problems, what causes the resistance of their own attitude. So that's typical starting point of our students' activities. So I think it's really a good, and also one of the benefits for students for doing this project is their creativity and their problem-solving activities very much improved. We found that in many years of experiences. And in these days in the university education, we just don't really transfer knowledge to them. We just enhance them to raise their own creativity and problem-solving activities, which will help them a lot in their future career development. I think it's all the same in Rwanda too. So that's another one of the benefits for students for do this. And the professors, they have no benefits for do this. So in my university too, I encourage my colleagues to do this. They don't do this. Hey, I don't want to do that. If I do that, what is my benefit? Nothing. So professors usually don't do this. So they don't have to do this actually. But so if you don't do this, I understand. So, but students will get a lot of benefits for this project. So.
And the professionals, like including professors and other kind of extension center specialists. If kind of farmers now take pictures, what the problems, their crops, bug or disease, whatever, and the upload on the website. There are other people like expert and the extension specialist and the advanced knowledgeable farmers get together, they share the information. That kind of things is easy and website based of exactly what you want. Students may be involved in, and farmers involved in, and professors or experts involved in that kind of things. Problem solving about that kind of things, share their idea. That's one of the example of the kind of our country. They try to make it, but they just initiate. Yeah, that's one of that one. Another one is I want to announce that kind of things. We would like to find out cooperation with the university here, specialists. The first one is we need a baseline survey kind of things. We need a numerator by the experienced or the graduate student or professors who engage in data, the collection, who has baseline survey or any kind of survey, international organization. We would like to cooperate with that kind of things. We will train them. We will train, enumerate, which means about interviewer. We will train them and we will explain how to do it. And we also send them the kind on the site, for different site, kind of Ruindo, Rubabu, Bugesera, what is that one? Nagatare, okay, 4 things. You're gonna hire you're not hire contract with the farmers to go to farmers and many methods. We're going to give them a questionnaire already. We made it. We're going to check it. Like 10 people, 3 people, or 5 people get together. We try to connect with the kind of cooperative members, and you can check it. We're going to make it that kind of things. We have fun, that kind of things. We have to try to find out the right person, and our project manager asked us to go here and make a cooperation at that. I would like to invite people, kind of 1 minute of your experience kind of the data survey or collection. Then we do that, and we'll teach them, students, how to analyze data using computer systems, packages, SPSS, or other kind of things. Or Stata, I would like to. Excel, even that one, we train them. We are the specialists. So we can train them and make a cooperate with that kind of things. This is one of the ODA project in Kigali. The name is Smart Food Value Chain Management Project. So we want to cooperate with your university and especially faculty and the graduate student. If you want that one, I have Nenka here, contact me personally. Okay. So also, that project is the charge of the Professor Sin. It's charge of our kind of. We have two projects in here. My university has two projects in here. One is kind of, each of them has $20 million project one. Another one we have $15. What, $15, right? $15 project here. We are just started. The other one started about 1 year ago, or 2 years ago, maybe 2 years ago. They're on the way right now. So anybody want it, and contact me. I would like to have experienced professors. And we are educationally, and actually how to cooperate with the ODA, other kind of international agency. It's a good chance for you. Also ask for good chance for kind of cooperation with the kind of Unilak, your university. Thank you.
So after the meeting is over, if you're interested in contact, and this is separate from what I'm.
Yeah, but same university, same kind of the research institute.
Right. Yeah. IPAID is in charge of these two projects too. So.
Do not cut.
Right.
Please.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much for this concept of living lab, which is, I think, and I think it's in this framework that it is a problem-solving approach which is adaptive to new situations, where there is this kind of entrepreneurial ecosystem where different key players are involved, including government, researchers, students, NGOs, and even local residents. Local residents taken as inputs, but also as outputs, because it is a user-centered approach, a problem-solving. So my question is just about implementation. As far as our Unilak is concerned, we are lecturers, we are teaching students different courses, and as you said, we can make a living lab even during our courses, I think. This is what you mentioned, if I can remember. When we are teaching, we can even integrate or apply this living lab in class. Most of the time when we are teaching, some courses are more practical oriented, and I believe that even some courses called theoretical can be productized. They can be turned into products that can be sellable, even if it's a theoretical course. So when we are teaching, students, we tell students to identify problems, because they are coming from different areas, some from villages. Then they can collect data, collect some information regarding the existing problems that can be resolved. And ideas are there, they bring ideas. this stage of idea generation. Then this kind of ideation. Sometimes best ideas, when they are selected, they can be turned into prototypes. And that has been one of our practices. Some students are selected with best ideas, sometimes prototypes, and they participate in competitions. There is one university one of the universities in Rwanda, where we take our students with the best ideas and the prototypes. They go to competition, and the best prototypes are awarded. But the problem is after the award. We select the prototypes. Prototypes are there, but at the end, there is no outcome. So I would like to ask your living lab how it can intervene towards implementing, towards resolving this kind of gap, filling this kind of gap. When students come up with best ideas, best prototypes, how can they be helped to turn these prototypes, to make these prototypes or to turn them into businesses, into startups? And this can be one of the best approaches towards poverty alleviation. So in a few words, this is my question. How prototypes can be turned into startups, and how the living lab can help. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Very good question, and it depends on the purpose of the teaching, and then it depends on the type of course. And but what you are saying is, after students coming up with some different ideas, and the problem is how these invaluable ideas are actually implemented and turning into a real outcomes. And in that process, we need a lot of different conditions, money and other opportunities. So in Korea too, it's the same situation. Thousands are coming every year, every month, I guess, from many different Living Lab participants. Only 5 or 10% of those projects are actually implemented. Really hard to be really entrepreneurship in Korea too, because even if your idea is really good, but if somebody is not interested in that idea, then it's really hard to become a real outcome. So you have to persuade investors, you have to persuade the government, you have to persuade somebody who has money that this idea really can help problem. By this idea, you can earn more money, something like that. So it's really hard, but students, in my experiences, they don't care about this. And then also the idea generation and discussion and coming up with some solutions, those processes are in education much more important than the next step. Next step is important for the society and for the government and for the political persons. But in terms of the college education, we give students the opportunities to think about something, to search for their problems in their own neighborhood, and try to understand other different countries, different situations, how same global problems are implemented in different areas of the world. I think that's educational purpose that's more important. In that way, they try to understand other countries, other neighborhood, compare and contrast their own country to other countries. So those are the kind of the basic fundamental purpose of this kind of problem, this kind of cooperation. But as you know, as you said, the outcome is much important too. So we'll find everything to do that. And in some steps, students themselves, some of the students really do not want the outcomes to be realized, actually. They're not interested in that. After the course is over, hey, I'm done. I get my grades here, and I'm going to be over, and I'm going to be graduate, and I'm going to do my own opportunities to promote it, something like that. But some of the students are still very serious about this project. Professors will find everything to help them to be connected to real opportunities. But like I said, it's really hard. But we'll try our best. Even if it's our partner countries, then we'll try our best. But I would say only about 10% or 20% of those ideas, those are realized in Korea too. So, but let's find ways to do that. Thank you very much for your comments.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Professor Shin, thank you for your presentation, and also what we are trying to introduce at Unilak. I think this is a very interesting approach for education and for also the development of a country. I think our education system has that problem of being an education system that is set to prepare people who will be clerks or working for others and administration. And now trying to turn this into now educating people who can solve problem is very interesting. And I think I don't know in Korea and Western countries, but in Africa, I know this is a big challenge. Our education stems from the colonizers, and people have not been prepared to think and innovate. They have been prepared just to follow some instruction and work for organization. So I commend this project and this initiative. So now my question goes maybe in the same line with my colleague, but not in the outcome side, but in the process. As I said, we have been educated to be clerks. Let me say that, to be clerks or to be people who serve others, not people who think to solve problems. That means that even our professors here, if you tell them to go and teach people to innovate and to think differently, it will be a challenge to them. I can see I'm teaching entrepreneurship. He's teaching entrepreneurship, and most of the time we go into literature, read, memorize, write a business plan or whatever, but then at the end you find that people are not changing the way they think. So I was asking, how do you do to prepare professors, maybe who doesn't also have that mindset?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Big challenge. Yes. Like I said, it's the same situation. Professors in Korea, in Yonsei, very, very much passive about this. Because number one, they don't have to do this. Number two, if they do this, they have to put a lot of efforts, energy, money, sometimes time. Sometimes they have to sacrifice some others. They have to take care of students. They have to look at those students. They have to see how each group of students are doing very well or not. If they're not doing very well, they have to help them out. So this is really a big burden for them. So, and then usually they don't want to do this. So, to be honest, I have no solution about this. But and I don't really argue that all the students, all the professors in all the departments should be engaged in this problem-solving learning or community-based learning. There are some courses in which these kind of pedagogy, these kinds of teaching methods could be very effective. And you will know this, actually. And you will have some experiences of this kind of group project-based activities. Just like the professor mentioned, you guys are engaged in this very much. So, but still, professors are not really active about this. No solution for this.
Okay, so I understand that challenge, but now maybe for the specific project, maybe if we identify some few courses, is there a training that you can do for maybe those professors who want to engage into to understand the methodology and how they have to manage their class and student?
Right, yeah. I think we will come again if you are willing to do this. And in the Vietnam case too, we visited there twice, I guess, before the cooperation was initiated. And we provided some of the kind of introductory workshop for the professors who are willing to do this. And then we introduced us some kind of teaching materials, how we organize students. If students make some kind of problems, how do we react to these problems? And why do we do this? Why do we cooperate? So we explain fully to the professors about this process. So we are willing to do this. And Professor Nam, if it's not me, she will come here again and help you out if you're willing to do this. And in the Vietnam case too, we did the same thing.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
And like I said, our another ODA project site is in Vietnam. At first, the professors at that Vietnam, they were not interested in this, but a little bit more, very slow, but they could understand, and now they are very active about that. And then and when we first initiated in Vietnam project, Professor Chu was there too. Professor Chu was engaged in the Vietnam project as an agricultural specialist, and he saw that professors in Vietnam, they were not interested in this in our first meeting. But gradually, they were very active about this. So let's not hurry.
I would like to thank my colleagues who have provided these very constructive inputs. My colleague DVC in charge of finance and administration, he has raised something very important that come up to the good point of having the other session, which will focus on the capacity building for the people who will be pioneers in this new model of teaching and learning process. It's an intervention and observation. I was even thinking on this issue of getting very active and the right professors for this approach. But from my personal perspective, I realized that most of academic staff start by teaching rather than starting by research. That's what I have realized. You can find somebody teaching several years, but when you look at research activity made, you realize, and it could be better if we start by research and research projects which are pragmatic and visiting those issues. And from that practical research, that's where we academic staff, we come up with the content. Then from the content, the next is to look at how this content can be injected into our community, actually into our students. That is where this new approach of Living Lab comes in. And then from the approach, that's where now a good teaching approach produce good citizens. And then from the good citizen to economy. In other words, no research, no consistent content. Without no consistent content, even if the approach comes, sometimes we shall have some gap somewhere. And know that, no economy. And I think that is, I will think about that, but it's good opportunity. This room, this particular moment is having now, is having the solutions, because we people are seated here. God have given us potential to find the solutions of the rest of the population. We can't neglect ourselves. So it's good to look at, even if we go ahead forward, we shall bring all our ideas, all our initiatives. It's good that you have presented the important capital to go through this journey. But also we have to look at how our teaching process also can be. I think through that capacity building, we shall have it. We will have time to look at how we can organize that. What I was saying, that we will have to look at the feasibility. The approach, the orientation we have taken is very good. The rest is to look at the feasibility, including improving our teaching, which should start by pragmatic research, which will give us the content. Actually, our content most of the time is those theories you read, you go to the internet, you download, you go and you talk. Sometimes the teachers can talk something which they cannot even implement and make them pragmatic in their normal lives. We are here just as academicians. We have to talk about that. We are teaching our people entrepreneurship, and yet we have not even created a single project. If my employer said, Manuel, you are no longer a professor at this university, if I get outside, I become like other people who have not even taught entrepreneurship. So I think throughout our cooperation, we shall have an opportunity. You are more senior, you have seen a lot, and you have even different perspective. I think that this is an opportunity of contributing to our communities. Yeah, thank you very much. It's really very, very amazing to have such kind of discussion. It's what all of us we really need. Sure. So we are remaining with 15 minutes, because this session is supposed to be closed at 11:30 according to our schedule. So if there is no any other question, we can go to proceed to the closing of this session and taking a group photo as we prepare for the lunch at midday.
Do we have a chance to look around the campus?
Yes, sure. We will, sure. Yeah.
And also, in addition to our proposal on delivering an educational cooperation, what Professor Chewy was mentioning was about his project. He wants some assistance from any of the graduate students.
Sure.
So if you're interested, then just contact them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think it's an opportunity for him, because most of the time we are looking for places where our student can get experience, either as internship or industrial attachment. I think it's an opportunity that is open. Mainly for those in environment and rural development, sometimes they have difficulties getting a place where they can be accepted. Thank you for that opportunity. Yes, Steve.
Thank you. I think if there is no any other question, I want to thank you all, our honorable visitors who have joined us and who have accepted to be part of our Unilak family, and we are also very happy to be part of your family as academicians. So I'd like to thank so much my colleagues, academic staff who are here just for this session. Especially I would like to thank so much administrative staff, especially the Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of the entire administration of this university. I think that this is a crucial and it is a very important session that I hopefully that it's going to produce more fruits. So the rest, we are looking forward on how now progressively we are going to set strategies on how to apply and how to benefit from all this. So our academic staff, please let us just join the hands as we thank our professors and our visitors. Yeah, so we can clap for you. It's yeah, thank you very much. I think we can close this session from here, and we are still having time. We really appreciate. Thank you for everything.